I try to keep up with new films. Blockbusters, thrillers, all kinds of stuff. But more and more I catch myself thinking, it all looks polished, but there's not much to actually watch. We've seen it before, sometimes more than once. That hits especially hard in the world of spy movies. Where there used to be thoughtful investigations, now it's all spectacle. Fast editing, globe hopping, and the inevitable betrayal in Act 3, all by the book. But a good spy story is really about something else. It's about suspicion, silence, watching people and not knowing who's lying or who's just scared. Walk a Crooked Mile came out in 1948. At first glance, it's just a routine investigation. An FBI agent and a representative from Scotland Yard tracking down a spy network. But this film is worth watching not just for its plot. Why? Let's get into that. In a U.S. defense laboratory, there's a growing suspicion. Classified information is leaking out. Nuclear research is involved, and there might be a full-blown spy ring operating from the inside. An FBI agent starts the investigation. Soon, a British agent joins him to help track possible international links. Together, they go through surveillance, interviews, quiet observations, and slow-moving leads. At first, the film feels methodical, maybe even slow. But that's intentional. Everything builds on suspicion, small details, and people who don't say much but might mean more than they let on. As the story unfolds, more names surface, new threads appear, and tension builds until the second half kicks in with a sharper rhythm. Chases, shootouts, stolen documents, the pieces come together in a satisfying escalation. Still, even at its most action-heavy, the film stays grounded. It never turns into an action movie. It sticks to structure and lets the investigation do the work. This isn't just about spies. It's about how systems function and what happens when something deep inside starts to break.
Surprise.
Walk a Crooked Mile isn't just a spy story. It's a film where the entire era speaks through the frame. In some ways, it's both fiction and a kind of document. On one level, it's a genre piece. On another, it's a record of how people in the late 1940s imagined threats, enemies, alliances, and trust. The film makes its stance clear from the start. The good guys are calm, professional, deliberate. The enemy? Faces, decisions, actions. You see them. Cold, efficient, and ruthless. People who are in it to destroy, no doubt about that. And that's exactly why they need to be stopped. To protect what the film frames as a normal, secure American way of life. Yes, the film is propaganda, and it doesn't hide it. A narrator, elevated language, strong patriotic tones, it's all there. But what's interesting is how precisely it delivers those messages to its audience, and how that structure still reads today. The core issue is nuclear development. Back then, it felt like mythology, enormous, abstract, terrifying. Kind of like what artificial intelligence is now, powerful, disruptive, and not fully understood. What's fascinating is how spycraft is shown. No gadgets, no satellite feeds, but still, cameras, bugging devices, mobile units. There's even a car phone, not science fiction, but a real touch of tech for its time. And it hits differently when you realize they already had this back then, just without the noise. Visually, the film is striking. Black and white with heavy contrast. Real locations, real streets, people, clothes, city light. You're not watching a recreation. You're looking directly at the era. The British agent isn't a token presence either. He's not just tagging along. He's fully involved in the case, and just as central in the final moments.
Nice shooting, Scotty.
Thanks.
The dynamic between the two agents is well built. They rely on each other, cover for each other. At least once, they literally save each other's lives. And the film makes a clear point. The threat is shared. The work has to be too. And then there's the civilian layer. There's a moment when a woman helps the agents and dies because of it. Her last words are simple. If I helped this country even a little, it was worth it. Yes, it's patriotic. But here, it lands. Because the story earns it. What's rare is that the film shows fear, and at the same time shows the answer to that fear. You don't just see danger, you see the people built to handle it. Quietly, effectively, without drama. That's what gives Walk a Crooked Mile its weight. It's not a spy thriller. It's a film that calmly says, yes, danger is near, but there are people who do their job. And while they're on the job, the system holds. Walk a Crooked Mile isn't loud, it's not flashy, but it does one thing really well. It keeps your attention and leaves you with something to think about. It's both a time capsule and a solid detective film. There's surveillance, interviews, action, everything you'd want from a genre story. But beyond that, it shows how an entire worldview was built, who the enemy was supposed to be, how trust worked, and what counted as security. That's why this film can be watched not just as a thriller, but as a kind of historical material. Not factual, but deeply honest in tone. It's worth watching just to see a different lens. Not the one we're used to. No stylized heroics, no tropes, no trying to be cool. This is for those who are tired of the usual modern spies. For those who want to see how this story used to be told, tougher, simpler, sometimes more direct. And for those who are just interested in history, not as dates, but as atmosphere. The film itself makes a clear statement. Everything depends on the people who do their jobs when it counts. But we see that differently today. We see the system, the structure, the mood. And if you pay attention, Walk a Crooked Mile unfolds like a layered story. Up top, plot and patriotic energy. Under that, genre craft, and beneath it all, a sense of a time shaped by fear, by duty, and by belief. That's how it should be watched.